And welcome to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. We are your hosts. I'm Leah Gutierrez with Devil Dog Devin.
You enunciate so clear. Devil Dog Devin.
Like the triple D's. I'm just going to call it, that's on the triple D. I'm Leah Gutierrez with triple D.
I'm pretty sure that's trademarked by that Guy Fieri guy. He had the
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Yeah, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Yeah,
I love that
that's
show.
It.
How about 3D?
It's a great show. 3D?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. I mean, that
D
sounds
cubed.
like D cubed. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. I've been disqualified. Oh,
Yeah.
man. You know who
3
is,
strikes, you're out.
who is qualified, though?
Who is qualified?
Our guest today, Andrew McCarthy. Is that right? Is that your last name, McCarthy?
Yes, sir. McCarthy.
Like the great General McCarthy?
MacArthur, but yeah.
Oh,
something like that.
I'm not
like
very
that.
You are a Marine.
I've been corrected
Give
by
him
a
a
high school
break.
senior. Yeah.
Yeah, he's,
And,
That
he's
should
a
tell
Marine.
you something.
So.
And you're a Marine, so I mean.
And we've got Matt Reyes, who is the Field Force Liaison for West Point. Is that correct?
That's right. I am District 10 Field Force, Congressional District 10 Field Force Liaison, but I work with candidates from really all over the state and some out of state too.
Some else. What does that even mean? Let's go with you first, Matt, because I don't understand what your job is.
Absolutely. So it's all volunteer work, just so you're aware. So in the process of getting into any service academy, but West Point in particular, I would say has the biggest network of field force representatives across the country. And so when a candidate starts applying to West Point, they have someone who is on the ground in their area that helps them with the process. And Andrew here reached out to me. It was over a year ago. And it was what he was going to do next was go to West Point. He's one of those candidates. And it's amazing how usually those candidates tend to get in. So Andrew is very passionate, and I've worked with him, but I've worked with this is my 13th year. I've worked with literally hundreds of candidates in the local area. And I've also worked with several different members of the House of Representatives and the 2 current senators in North Carolina to select candidates for nominations, because everyone that gets into a service academy needs a nomination from either a congressional source or from a couple of other places that are less common. Andrew actually has one of them. It's a JROTC nomination, which is given to candidates from JROTC units in local high schools that earn the honor unit with distinction. And Andrew's been fortunate enough to get that nomination as well. So
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome. Yeah, congrats.
So he's one of the better candidates that I've ever worked with. And it's been a joy really working with him.
Yeah, he was so good you decided to drag him on.
Yeah, I dragged him down here and said, "You're going on the radio." Last time I came, I brought 3 candidates, but this time I just brought Andrew because
he's that good.
He's that good. He is that good.
Last time we needed 3
to replace Andrew. That's right.
No pressure, Andrew.
So Andrew, what made you decide to go to West Point?
That's a question I've been asked a lot. West Point, I wanted a future. To me, it's about giving back to my community.
Mm-hmm.
I am fortunate enough to have a great family, a great community that supports me. Speaking of our ROTC unit, great instructors there, great teachers, all people who contribute to my success. So when he says that I'm a great candidate, it's really not all about me. It's the people that have put in work to help me get where I'm at. For me, I wanted to contribute, to serve my country, to be a good steward of something that's been given to me. And I had family in the military, many servicemen. My father was in the reserves. My grandfather was drafted in Vietnam. My great-grandfather was on the beaches of Normandy. This was, for me, the passion. That's how I wanted to contribute, the service. And so when you look at your options, you have ROTC in college. You can always enlist, and then you have the service academies. And I went and visited all the service academies, checked out all the options, and West Point was really the place I wanted to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he made the best choice, of course.
Of course.
Don't worry,
I mean, you know,
Sorry,
that's cool, whatever.
I shouldn't have said that because I have multiple candidates I'm working with right now for all the service academies. So hopefully they're not mad at me.
We'll just
if
pay
they're
that
watching.
shirt no mind. We'll
Oh yeah,
pay
it's,
that shirt
you
no
didn't see
mind.
my shirt today.
Go Navy.
Are you serious,
say that.
Devin?
Whoa!
Wait, no.
So, we officially are going to get that on a loop. We're just going to have Matt Reyes saying "Go Navy."
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
Luke
my.
that's going to.
I might be regretting that like
When did you unbutton your
around
shirt?
December next year.
Oh, I'm always disrobing during the middle of the
No,
show.
you're not always this way.
Nice shirt. Nice
Yeah,
shirt,
thank you.
Devin.
I've always
appreciate
been
that.
told that the Marines are not part of the Navy.
Well, they're
Is this a confession?
there's only 2 times that the Marines will admit to being part of the Navy. One of those times is during the Army-Navy game because Marine officers come out there. And
Right.
the other time is payday because it says
Department of the Navy. Okay. Yeah.
Well, but we've got a little bit of time before break. I just wanted to ask you, Matt, what qualifies you to be a West Point Field Force Liaison? Man, that's a mouthful.
Right.
I can't even
Yeah.
say it. I'm not qualified.
Yeah. Well, so really, I'll to be 100% blunt, the qualification to be a field force representative, I got to be a district liaison from being a representative for a period of probably after about 5 years as a field force representative, I became the liaison for the whole district.
Oh,
And then there's a guy that's for the whole state. His name's Kevin Riedler. But I'm a 1989 graduate from West Point. My wife is class of 90. We met at West Point. We got married at West Point.
Oh, no kidding. How often does that happen?
A lot, actually. Yeah, like lots of graduates get married. Usually they're the same class, but every once in a while there's someone with a spouse from a different class. But then my son applied for West Point in 2012. He was fortunate enough to get in. He's class of 2016. And he's an airborne air assault ranger company commander with the 10th Mountain Division.
Oh wow, that's
awesome. So the year he got in, I met the nominating committee at Representative Virginia Fox's office, and General Mabry Martin was one of the guys. That's a name some people will recognize. And they asked me to join their board for the following year. And so since I had just been through the process helping my son, I really enjoyed doing that. And you know how when you get out of the service, I'm sure you guys, you'll be able to relate to this. When you come into the civilian sector, a lot of times there's a place within you that it's kind of like unfilled.
Yeah.
You know, you feel,
I know exactly.
you know,
Yes.
and working with candidates for me fills that void.
Good.
Oh wow.
And so I feel like it's what I'm supposed to do. And that's why I'm very, very passionate about it. And I take it very seriously with the candidates. So
Well, we're gonna
that's
have to
how I
put
became.
a pin in it right there. We're gonna have to go to the break and pay for this wonderful show with all of our sponsors. We'll hear a little bit from Matt Reyes and Andrew McCarthy when we get right back.
I'm Antonio Lewis from, let me start over. 9/11, after 9/11, so I'm a junior, you see what I'm saying, when that happened. And when it happened, it was in the back of my mind. Okay, I'll go into the military. I was in, like I said, a year. I was in 2003, the incident happened in 2004, stuck me in the arms room, did that, and then there was a mission where, hey, one of the members, passed away and I had to go pick up his rifle. So that's how I ended up, going out on a mission, and that mission got hit on the way back, right? And people died, I was one of the lucky ones that, hey, my hearing and those things, but it was just like, hey, I'm good. You get older, you start like, hey, is this normal? That concussion, that TBI, those different things, and start talking to different doctors and just realize that, hey, You're not? Okay. Coming here to Texas with the opportunity to go to school, had a son, right? Find out, hey, I can have kids, you know? And growing up without a home, you know, just moving around a lot, going from place to place, that's something that I challenged myself, that my son will always have a place to stay. So bought a house, you know, and didn't understand what was going into that, you know, just all the responsibilities that come with owning a home. We had a bunch of rain here, and it got to a point where the roof started leaking. And so it just got, between that, you know, childcare, cost of living, became a struggle. So that's where my buddy was just like, hey, Purple Heart Homes, you know, reached out to them, and I wasn't expecting to get back with me so soon, but they did. September, I got a brand new roof. It was bright and early. I mean, if you could see the street, it was all flooded. You know, it was hard to get it. My neighbor was looking at me crazy. You know, you got this hammering, you know, going on, and then you got these news crews showing up, and then you got Firehouse Roofing and all these guys just coming over and just saying, hey, I want to shake your hand and thank you for your service. It just humbled me, you know, and so it was just like, well, I didn't know what to do, but just take it in. Humbling experience, you know, we go through life, you know, challenges, and then when something like that happens to you, you're just at a loss for words, you know, and like I said, I'm forever grateful for Purple Heart Homes, Owens Corning, and Firehouse Roofing, just for that, you know, that love. I just thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
And welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We are with Matthew, did I say it right, Reyes? And Andrew
Yes, ma'am.
McCarthy.
But you call me Matthew though, like
Matt. Oh gosh, Matt
that's
Reyes.
that's what my mom used to call me when I was in trouble.
Well, she does have mom-like tendencies.
She does.
Sometimes she'll like fix my eyebrows for me.
Because your eyebrows it like breaks rank, and it's just like sticking out like an antenna.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry. I haven't been to a barber in a while.
Obviously.
He used to trim that up for me. You know, I do it myself now. I just get the old buffer out and
Visual.
Yeah. You know who's going to be buffing a lot of floors in the very near future?
Ain't me.
No.
I gave that a long time ago. I done did it.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking of Andrew, our guest
Oh
today.
yeah, you're going to become a subject matter expert
Recently,
on that.
was admitted into West Point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know for a fact that you are definitely going.
Yes, so
awesome.
I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Actually, for me, it was funny. It was kind of terrifying, though. So I was up. I don't know why I was up so late one night, but my phone died and I forgot to plug it in. Or actually, it died at school the next day because I had forgotten to charge it. And I get home and I plug it in. And I have a text from Captain Wubble. I think I said his name right, but
That's
Matt,
correct.
Yes, Matt knows him. He said, give me a call when you get the chance. And I was like, this is either really good or really bad.
Who is the captain? Is this he's in the
So
West
he's
Point?
the Southeast Regional Admissions Officer up at West Point.
Southeast Regional Commander.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yes. And so he said, give me a call. So immediately I gave him a call. I asked him how he was doing. And he said, I've talked to the committee. We'd like to offer you a spot of admission. And of course I said yes. That was a no-brainer for me. To say no would be a terrible idea. Yeah.
How cool was it to have him call you himself?
It was great. He actually told me not to tell anybody that Patrick McHenry or his office would be calling me probably. And so I didn't say anything for a little bit. And eventually I started telling people I was excited. My mom started crying because, see, my sister's getting married 2 weeks before our day, which is June 30th. And so she's losing 2 of her 3 children at once. So she was,
Oh, wow.
it's a bittersweet kind of thing. And my dad was excited. Everybody was excited.
Well,
And that's when
a
I
big
ordered my
accomplishment.
license plate.
Absolutely. Yeah. What does your license plate say?
It says, I don't know. Am I
maybe
giving
you don't say your
information?
license plate on
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
Yeah. It's got to do with West Point, though. I had to be first, but anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want people tracking you down,
Yeah.
and like beeping
That's
their
a good
horn
point.
at you.
Yeah.
Well, you have fun at that wedding
Yeah.
as
I will.
much as possible.
Yes.
You said it's 2 weeks before.
Yeah, 2 weeks before. Yep.
Okay.
And then,
You're saying that for a reason. Why is that? It's,
So it's like 2 weeks before our day?
yeah.
Okay, our day is the day that all the new cadets report to West Point. So
Like reception day.
That's
So
what
if
it means,
if you've ever been through basic training, it's that plus a lot of mental stuff. More mental stuff. I mean, there's mental stuff in basic training.
I was
too.
gonna say.
Well, he's a Marine, so
it's all mental stuff.
Well, so that's the day they report and start to go through their basic training. And after 6 weeks, there'll be new cadets during that time frame, and then they'll officially become part of the Corps of Cadets in a big parade and ceremony, and the families will all be invited, and then they'll actually get a pass after that to go, within reason, close to West Point and be with their families. So that's a big weekend. And before that, they'll do a 12-mile road march back from their training area.
Mandatory fun.
Into West Point. And I just might go up there and do it with Andrew, because as a graduate, I can go up there and do the road march with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
You have to be a graduate. So
we can't just show up with a rucksack.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I've only ever seen one guy that was not a graduate do the march back, and he's my daughter. My daughter's in her second year at West Point right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I can't tell you who it is, but her roommate's dad is a very, very experienced special forces warrant in the Army, and he's the only guy I've ever seen do the march back that wasn't a graduate. But he knows people.
Yeah.
He knows someone that knows someone.
CW4 Special Forces.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely.
I can't say his name or where he is.
As a matter of fact, forget that.
Just take that out. Just take that out. Yeah.
Program. We can't have that. It's
right.
Rewind the tape. So you were talking about our day, and how it's basically like boot camp for most of the folks that have enlisted in whatever branch. Is the whole 4 years like boot camp? What are we looking at here?
Not at all. So, you go through that first 6 weeks, and a big part of that is indoctrination to the military way of life. And for someone who's been through JROTC or is prior enlisted, they're kind of used to that. My daughter was prior National Guard. And so that part of it wasn't as difficult for her. When you get past that and into the academic year, it starts looking a lot more like college, except it's very, it's extremely loaded with academic requirements as well as military requirements, like military science and classes where you start learning about what the Army's all about, and how to be a great leader of character within the Army. And then every cadet is an athlete. So every cadet that's not playing an intercollegiate sport, and they do have football, baseball, basketball, soccer. They're all Division I programs. They're highly competitive. You have to be recruited to play at Army, just like you do at the other service academies. And then you have drill and ceremony. So you have to learn how to march and parade. And of course, at the inauguration, which happens, every 4 or 8 years, there's always, so the West Point cadets always lead any kind of parade that has multiple services associated with it. So they were first. I don't actually know if they did it this year or not. They moved the inauguration.
They did move it inside.
They moved it indoors, but I didn't see it. So
a Marine that got his hat knocked back by the flag.
Right.
He got so much crap for that.
Well, so what he did was he actually maintained bearing.
He did.
The flag hit him in the head. So
and it cocked his hat up, his cover up.
That Marine has superior ability to maintain bearing, because he could feel it. You could see in his eyes.
Yes.
He knew his hat was messed up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail this talking about that flag, but
I don't believe they were at the inauguration this year.
Yeah, I don't think they went this year.
Yeah.
If it had been outdoors,
yeah,
they would have done the parade, and they would have been the first unit to march in that parade, because
that's quite the honor, no matter what president is incoming.
Totally.
To be able to say you were first to lead in that parade.
Totally. So just a little bit more about the academic program. A long time ago, Sylvania Thayer redid the academic program at West Point.
Sylvania Thayer.
Thayer. So we use what's called the Thayer method. And the Thayer method basically means you're loaded up with enough requirements to where you can't do it all. Most people can't do it all. So you learn to prioritize. Another really cool thing about West Point is most of these guys and girls are, when they walk down the hallway at whatever high school they're from. Andrew's from West Iredell, right here in Statesville. He's from West Iredell High School. And, usually it's the big guy on campus or the big woman on campus, right? When they walk down the high school, man, my Andrew, he's going to West Point, right? Like, and other people are the captain of the football team, and they're the best of the best. When you get to West Point, everyone's like that. So, one of the things that they get used to is being one among many of the best people, the best young people in the country and internationally. There's international cadets at West Point, some of whom graduate from West Point and go back to their country to become officers.
I did not know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So they're, it's, and I really, really, as a cadet myself, that was energizing to me because there's always someone better than you at whatever the field is, whether it's academic, athletic, but you have skills that are better than some of your classmates. And so in that way, the whole group pulls everyone up. And we say, it's been said for years, cooperate and graduate, because you can't get through there by yourself. So you need classmates to support and help you. And it creates a really cool environment. So, when you can't, you're on the last few seconds of writing, a paper that's due, that's half your grade, right? Like, and you have to turn it in, like it's like 5 minutes. And you're like, man, like I can't figure out how to finish this paper. You got someone that's your classmate that's better at that than you are, right?
Well, I think that's a good skill to teach.
Just as one example.
When they get out in this, becoming a commander or becoming an officer, I mean, they're going to need to have that skill to go to their troops, because you're going to have senior NCOs or senior, that's going to have more experience.
Totally.
So to know that life skill, to be able to go where the resource is, to know that, and it's not just about me, it's about everyone in your group.
One of the things that really, really taught me, I was very blessed as a young second lieutenant to have some of the best non-commissioned officers and the best troops with the 101st Airborne. And I had learned at West Point that I don't know everything. Like, I was very humble when I showed up at my first unit, and they're putting real rounds downrange. I was a field artillery officer, and my first NCO was just a godsend. Like, he taught me everything.
Well, they say you don't have to know everything. You just have to know where to find it.
You have to know where to find it, exactly. And when you have the best NCOs, they know what they're doing. We have the best troops in the world, in the U.S.
I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's really refreshing to hear from an officer, because I know, being enlisted myself, I was always like, man, these guys, do they even know how to do this? It's always the joke about
you can't get lost without LT.
That's right.
Can't get lost without LT. Hey, we've been talking all about West Point today, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that right when we get back from this break. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
Dear friends and supporters, as we prepare to welcome in 2025, we at Purple Heart Homes are looking ahead with hope and determination to make this year even more impactful for the veterans that we serve. Thanks to your generosity, we've built ramps, renovated homes, and transformed the lives of over 233 veterans and their families. But there's still more to do. Right now, several projects are waiting to get started, and we need your help to make them happen. Together, we can ensure that disabled veterans and their families receive the homes they've dreamed of, fought for, and deserve. This is your chance to be a part of something truly meaningful. Your gift, whether it's $20, $50, or $100, will bring us closer to completing these projects and giving the veterans the safety, security, and dignity that they've earned. Let's start 2025 off strong and make it a year of action and impact. Donating has never been easier. We're even accepting donations through Venmo. Together, we can change lives and honor those who have sacrificed so much for our freedom. Thank you for your continued support and commitment to the Purple Heart Homes mission.
And welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. I was just doing a clapping episode here, and I was like, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Go Army, beat Navy.
What? Oh, no.
You see this fabulous shirt he has on?
You have to keep, well, they can't see it if they're listening on the radio.
Go Navy, beat Army in this lovely Navy.
Did I hear you say that? Did you just say go Navy?
Isn't that what your shirt says?
Yeah. Well, I know. You just said go Navy.
What does it say? Go Navy.
I messed up.
It does. It says
Oh.
go
I messed up
Navy, Army.
again. That's
Okay.
twice.
Yeah.
He's dyslexic. I should say go Army, beat Navy.
Oh my gosh.
We have a word for that in the South. Bless.
Bless. Oh my.
Bless his heart. That's all we got to say. It's just bless.
You know,
bless.
we should get back to our guests
Yes, we
who are
should.
definitely not rooting for the Navy,
No.
even though the Navy did spank them in that Go Army or in that Navy Army
One
game.
time.
Yeah.
One
Just
time.
once. Just once.
What about all the other times we
yeah.
spanked the Navy?
So
We'll give you the one.
Ours was still the better
I'll let
team.
y'all off the hook this time. So hey,
Anyway.
right before the break, we were talking about having good NCOs and learning to use those as a commander. That was a skill you learned in West Point.
Definitely. You know, so West Point really has changed over the years, you know, and as our forces become better, as the Army's become, you know, better and better and better to where now, you know, we're the best fighting force in the world.
Absolutely.
You know, I would say the U.S. military in general, the troops, the sailors, the Marines of our service are the best in the world. And the way West Point has changed is there was a time when people would be worried about quote unquote West Pointers because they thought they were a bit arrogant. They knew everything, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's taught now that how to lead the best soldiers in the world. And, you know, I'm an 89 grad and I came out knowing for sure that I was going to have soldiers and non-commissioned officers that knew more about how to do their jobs than I did, like way more. Like that you can't
Right,
possibly.
because they've been out there doing
They've been
out there
OJT.
doing it. I had, you know, I graduated from West Point and I had 4.5 months of field artillery back then called Officer Basic Course to teach me about artillery. 4.5 months.
And they
right?
only teach you 10 level.
You know, I had the guy I had as a fire support NCO who was my right hand man basically as an officer had, you know, he had been 20 years and he had just come from a Ranger battalion where he jumped into Panama as a fire support NCO.
Holy smokes.
You think he might have known more about me than fire support for sure. Like I would not let him like get more than about 5 feet from me. It's like well, I can't say his name, but he, you know, and he became a great friend. I'm an officer, he's an NCO, but I'm not better than him. You know, I'm not inherently better than him. His path was different than mine was. And the reason it's done that way is because that combination makes a great leadership group for that group of about 10
It
enlisted.
does. And it's interesting. Like, I think I did not understand the officer versus enlisted path as a young man, and I do now as an adult. I think it just didn't have that wisdom.
Right.
But I look back at it now and I realize you don't have to know every job on the construction site
Exactly.
to be the contractor. You just got to know that guy, trust that he knows what he's doing, and set out the expectations and lead for you to get the mission accomplished.
Totally. And so that's a great analogy, and something that I never had to face in the Army that I did in the civilian sector was you have to know when that person doesn't know their job. If that person doesn't know their job as the leader, there's a process you have to go through to either get that person up to speed, or there's a process you have to go through to say, you know what, you'd be better off doing something else. But in the Army, I never had that. I mean, I never had that incompetent NCO.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few troops like that, especially during Desert Shield and Desert Storm, when we got some brand new troops that came right out of basic. But for the most part, never had to deal with that.
That's amazing. I'm glad that you had that experience.
Had great NCOs.
I was in with some of the NCOs that you apparently didn't meet. But that's neither.
But those were Marines.
Oh yeah, they were.
They were Marines.
So what does it take to get into West Point? I mean, what should you be looking at doing if you?
So if we have like a freshman in high school that's
well, so let
me
me give you the mission of the United States Military Academy. That's probably the best way to start that conversation. So, and I'm going to have to read it because
that's all
because
right.
Believe it or not, it changes as time goes on.
Really?
It changes with the mission and the needs of the Army, which makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Like it makes sense. So the United States Military Academy, founded on March 16th, 1802, is a 4-year college that builds, educates, trains, and inspires the Corps of Cadets to be commissioned leaders of character, committed to the Army values, and ready for a lifetime of service to the Army and nation. West Point graduates earn Bachelor of Science degrees and are commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Army. So if you think about all that, you think about, okay, what's the raw material that West Point's looking for to build into that? And, Andrew's a great example of that. I'll let him tell you about his personal story and the things that he did to fulfill the requirements for admission. But you're looking for someone who's a great student. You're looking for someone who's also an athlete, because everyone at West Point's going to be an athlete. You're looking for someone with the potential to be a great leader. Not that they're necessarily a great leader already, but has the potential to be a great leader. Things like humility and coachability, curiosity for learning and that kind of thing. And then last of all, you're looking for all of that in one person. And so Andrew, through his experiences, showed that he was the right kind of person to get in. And I'll let him talk a little bit about some of what he did.
Yeah, please, Andrew, tell us what was the process like for you? And we've got about 2.5 minutes, and we'll get back into this after the break. But
so I'll start with the leadership part, because it's a very comprehensive thing. I think the whole process is, and you never know everything. Matt, I probably asked the most questions out of any of his candidates. I was constantly texting him, or I'd call him and I'd have a barrage of questions. But leadership part, you need to find a passion. And that's something that I think every student needs. Every person needs a passion. All right. And within that passion, find ways that you can lead and influence others. And that doesn't mean you have to be the top dog. Right. That doesn't mean you have to be in charge. But how do you affect others in a positive way? That's how I see leadership in a sense. And for me, we spoke about me having a nomination through my junior ROTC program at West Iredell.
Right. Yeah, I like to think that their 1999 drill team commander set that path.
Oh, you have Reggie
forward for you.
Yeah.
Reggie Hooker.
Yes, Reggie.
I served
Shout
with
out
him.
to Reggie. And,
I
yeah.
served with him.
Yes.
Drill team commander for that school.
Awesome.
Yes.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yes, but anyways.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Good info.
Yes. But for me, currently, I'm the battalion commander at that program. And so I work with, right now, in the second semester, we have over 100 and I think we're over 100 cadets right now.
Wow.
I can't give the exact number.
No.
I feel I'm sorry about that. But you have to work with all of them, and you're growing them as people. And for me, that was my passion. ROTC was. Additionally, I play soccer, and so finding ways to lead on the sports you play, being that athlete. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm in Troop 607, working on the process of becoming a leader. Lots of paperwork, but I, as a younger self, was the senior patrol leader, which would be the person that manages the youth side of the troop.
Yeah.
How do we, food, everything, essentially. And so you just got to find what you're passionate about and find ways to lead.
Wow. Well,
that's a lot come from someone in high school.
So let me throw in there. That's so all of those things. He's a unique candidate. You don't normally see all those things in one candidate.
No.
So we can talk more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been great listening to y'all, but we're going to have to go, pay for this show. So we'll be right back.
Right back.
Michael and Tamara Benfield. I was in the Navy for 20 years, retired 2005. I was on site at a customer, and what happened was my right leg collapsed. So that was the beginning of June 2012, and then by the end of June, I couldn't walk enough to keep working. It went down that fast. So I have a cervical spinal stenosis, and I still have it, and I still deal with it. It got to the point where all I could do was go from the bed to the wheelchair. Beginning of everything, when I was in the wheelchair and I couldn't even hold my head up, I was using a neck brace. I went to the VA office in Mooresville, and he saw me. He said, I know exactly who can help you guys. Purple Heart Homes took it on, and they started plans to build a wheelchair accessible addition to our house. God's grace through it all, allowing us to just walk through this step by step, and then bringing us together with Purple Heart Homes so that they provided, the addition is actually built 3 times better than our house. But all the things that it provided is just really hard to quantify. Anything that we can do to give back is what we want to do. We obviously can never repay what has been given, but
I just love to help people, and it shows.
Very thankful for what you do for veterans, and that you're there for us. And you were there for us when we needed you. That I can't say anymore, because what you have done for us, and the fact that whatever little we can do to help others, because hopefully our support of you helps you support more, so the more that we can help, the more that another one who is in need can be helped.
And welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. There's never a dull moment on this show. Do not touch me. Brad lets me touch him.
I discovered during the break that Leah apparently got her tetanus shot.
So, and I was saying, how no one slaps you on the back, or no one gives you high fives. But the one time that you get a shot, everyone's like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? You're never touched the other 364 days a year. And then the one day, so I told him not to touch me.
Yeah. Well, I felt like you needed a little elbow.
I'm going to have PTS. The next time I see the elbow, I'm going to start clenching.
Hey, and if you want to see Leah retaliate by hitting me in the shoulder,
$5.
You need to make sure you go to watch the show on YouTube rather than just listening to it.
Or for
on
a
the
donation,
radio.
you can watch me just smack the.
How much is that donation? Yeah. So go follow us on YouTube. Like, click, subscribe, all those things.
And also visit phhusa.org on ways that you can help and donate to our organization.
Yeah, because we're helping veterans every day, and we can't do it without you. We absolutely not. Hey, let's get back to our guests.
Yes.
What were we talking about, Leah? I'm completely
leadership.
Oh,
something
yeah.
new.
And you were talking about a purpose.
Yes. So Matt was talking about when he got out of the military is losing your sense of purpose. And like I said, when I got out, it was almost like you kind of walk through. To me, I feel like as long as I serve, you become institutionalized. And I don't like to use that word but you do, where to eat, when to eat, what to wear, where to be. You have your whole, your left and right perimeters.
Definitely.
And then when you get out, it's almost like Uncle Sam slams the door and goes hey, now forth and be, go forth and prosper. And you're like, where are my limits?
Yeah. Definitely.
You don't know how to stay within. And I struggled with that for a while when I first got out. I did a stay-at-home mom for a while. And I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like
Yeah.
it was great being at home, but then you lose your purpose. Like, okay, now what?
Right.
Now what do I want to do? So coming back here, I had the opportunity to work here with veterans that I know kind of helped fulfill that purpose, because now I still feel like I'm able to give back. I'm still able to feed
Definitely.
other people.
Definitely.
And so what was that like for you? I mean,
You know, and something that when you asked about what does it take to get into West Point, one of the things that we look for in candidates as well is service. Someone who's service minded, service oriented, and you know, Andrew definitely had that. And that I'm gonna get back to that in just a second. But you know, I came out of high school and went to West Point, and I was in that environment where everything is geared towards, you're all in that together, and everything is geared towards you having to really rely on the people you're around.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is kind of all those same values. It doesn't matter what Army unit you go to, or I've not been a Marine, obviously, but I know people who have been Marines, and they speak of the same thing. And all the branches, really, you're around people that are those similar values, and some
Absolutely.
are better than others, but for the most part, that's what everyone is geared towards. And you're all working to serve the country. And, you know, when it comes down to it, to defend the country.
Mm-hmm.
And you get out of that and you're not there anymore, you know. And even if you're in a great company where everyone is motivated to fulfill the company values and the company mission, by the way, that's a rare company that has that
It
environment.
really is,
It's
yeah.
a very rare company. I felt lost. I mean, like clinically depressed, lost.
Yep.
And when I started to work with candidates, that totally filled that void. And so it's completely volunteer work, but I feel like I'm doing something important again. You know, what could be better than helping lead young men and women who want to do that? You know, special young men and women. People talk about the younger generation these days, and about how, you know, back when I was a kid, you know, whenever you were a kid, it was different and blah, 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 right? People talk all that.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a very special group of young men and women still in the country that, you know, that it's not just service
Absolutely
academies. They do a
there's-
lot of great things. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're all calling me now because the portal really, and it's great. The portal is open for admission for juniors,
okay.
you know, this month or next month, depending on the academy. So it's a great time of year.
You
said-
find out your junior year if you're going to go into West
You
Point.
start applying
Start
your
applying
junior
your
year.
junior year. Okay.
Yeah.
so you couldn't apply as a senior.
You could, but you're behind. You're behind the
you're
eight
behind
ball
the
if
ball.
you're a
Yeah,
senior.
if you started now, you got 8 days, and
Right. You can still apply to West Point. You have 8 days.
So hey, you're a high school senior.
No.
Jump on it.
Get on it. But
Yeah.
you're not getting a nomination at this
Yeah.
point. So just
No.
forget that.
Oh
yeah,
my
so
gosh.
the
So
process, yeah.
how long is it open for the enrollment?
It's about a year.
About a year.
So juniors, so the West Point portal opens on February 15th,
Mhm.
and they'll need to be done by like the end of January into 26.
No
They have
kidding.
to get everything done.
Wow.
So that way, after their senior year, they roll into West Point.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really like, for most of them, it's like a month after graduation from high school, they're going to be showing up at West Point. It's always the Monday that's closest to July 1st. So it could be late June, it could be early July.
So for me, and again, don't quote me, I think I graduate May 23rd, and then from high school, and then June 30th is my reception day. That is the day where I have to go when I'm given a time to show up at West Point.
Right.
Oh wow.
It's a fun day.
Yeah, it's
The
a
fun day,
Yes, the fun
yeah.
day. He said that it opens in February, but for me at least, I would suggest if you're really considering it, reach out to him before that point in time.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them, I have an 8th grader right now.
So how would
Wow. And already knows.
8th grader.
that wants to go to
Yeah, I have an 8th grader. I have several freshmen. There's a good number of sophomores. And then there's juniors that are reaching, you know, they're getting
That is
ready
awesome.
they're getting ready to enter the portal.
Now, if people are wanting to enter that portal, not just with locally in Statesville in North Carolina, because we do put this out there on YouTube and a lot of other places. We want to let everybody know, how do they do that?
Yeah, totally. So if depending on what academy it is, and we're talking about West Point today. So
right.
I would Google West Point admissions, and the first result that's going to come up is going to tell you how to start applying. There's a summer leadership experience that is the summer after your junior year, and that portal is going to open for West Point on February 15th. But get in touch with me. I don't care where you are. I've helped candidates from a lot of different states. My classmates live in all different states, and I helped a young man from New York, where I'm from.
Wow. He's
at the prep school right now, the West Point prep school, and he'll be his classmate. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
So that's but you can reach me at 704-929-0653. Just start with a text and we'll go from there.
I'll help
you.
Dirty photos.
Yeah, don't send me dirty photos. Yeah,
definitely. To a Marine to say something like that.
If any of you crazy people out there send me dirty photos, I will find you.
He has a certain set of skills.
That's right. And I have friends everywhere.
True. Yeah. He's got a chief warrant officer 4 in the Special Forces.
That dude will find you.
I guarantee you. It's wow. Yeah, a W4 in Special Forces, man.
Yeah, and that's why he's a W4, because all he wants to do is Special Forces kind of guy. That kind of guy.
Yeah. That's a scary individual. I don't even want to know that guy's name.
Right.
Well, so we've got a little over 2 minutes left. Is there any final thoughts either one of you have? You want to make sure that we get out there?
Yeah, so Andrew, why don't you talk a little bit about how, not for my benefit, but tell everyone that's interested in applying, how much difference it makes to work with someone who's been through that.
So for me, this is a huge application. Every few weeks stuff is unlocked. It's a massive application. Matt was a guiding force. I always had questions about stuff. If you are anywhat interested in West Point, and that you don't have to have the best GPA. Personally, I did not think I was the world's best candidate. However, I've already been admitted, and it goes to show that anyone, or most of anyone, can get in. So if you're interested at all, talk to Matt, because he can help you. I would attribute Matt as one of the major reasons that I got in, because I knew what they were looking for. I knew what I needed to focus on, whether it was athletics, academics, or this leadership part. And for me, it was the athletic portion that I thought I struggled the most in. Even though you play a sport, you still can fail the PT test once or twice. So. Yes. But anyways.
Yeah. So if you're out there watching, Andrew talked about a lot of what he's done. Eagle Scout, JROTC. He's a special candidate. It's really about persistence. I've been working with a candidate since she was in 7th grade. She's not in yet. She's at App State right now. She's going to get in eventually, but that's her jam. Like, she's wanted to go to West Point for, a long time. So there were some things that were challenges for her, but she's going to apply again. You can apply. You can't have reached your 23rd birthday when you show up there.
No kidding.
Is the requirement. My daughter is a great example. She didn't go right away. She went to the National Guard, and then she applied from there 2 years out of high school. So there's a lot of different ways to get in.
There's still a path even if you decided to go do something else first.
Totally.
Well, y'all have been great guests. We've got to end the regular part of the show, the regular broadcast. But you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, and we'll see you next week.
See you next.
All right,
bonus content.
It does, yeah. So you know what she said? Bonus content. You're moving your microphone. If there's anything else you want to say, we're going to put this part on the internet. It's our
bloopers, our funny stories, our you won't believe this.
Any story you didn't get to tell that you want to tell, maybe it wasn't radio appropriate.
Oh my!
Especially if it wasn't radio.
Yeah. So something I didn't get to talk about.
Sure.
Excuse me. Was just a little bit more about my background, if that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
So I'm from New York City. I grew up in New York City. My parents were not of, much wealth. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
You didn't come from a family of means.
We were poor folks from from New York. And one of the things I started thinking, I wanted to go to college, and I didn't know really where. And I was sitting on my deck one Saturday afternoon with my uncle, who's served in the Navy. And I was, I had really good grades. I was a recruitable baseball player. I got recruited by West Point and played baseball there. And he said, "Have you thought about the service academies?" And I said, "What's that?" And he was like, "Well, every branch of service has an academy that you can go learn to be a leader, and you'd be an officer in the Army, or whatever branch."
Sure.
And he told me all that. And I remembered that when I was 6 years old, my mom, who passed away in 22, took me up to West Point. And I have pictures of that at the battle monument there of me at that battle monument. And now I have pictures of every one of my 6 kids in that same spot.
That's
I have
awesome.
pictures of them. Yeah. So we have like 40 years of Reyes at battle monument at West Point. So
that's awesome.
So West Point is more like home to me than anywhere else now because of the life experiences I've had there. And so what I'm trying to get at is I wasn't anyone like super special. I mean, I just worked hard. I studied hard. I played sports. And the next thing I knew, I'm there at West Point. But even that, you don't really think much about that while you're there. But now I can look back that I've had a son graduate. I have one of my daughters there. I have another daughter who's who's a soccer player, and she's working with Army to be recruited for soccer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, whether she goes or not, she's a junior now. So whether she goes or not, it doesn't really matter. But what I'm getting at is how that whole experience it's not just changed my life. It's changed who I am as a person. It's a debt I can never repay.
Right.
It literally is a debt I can never repay. And, that's also a piece of why working with candidates is so rewarding to me, because
you're trying to give back.
People say, around Veterans Day, you guys all hear it. Thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I say honor and a privilege, totally an honor and a privilege. And if we get into a detailed conversation about it, I'll tell someone I'm never going to be able to repay the debt that the Army has given me in my life. Really, it was worth being, we were part of, at the 101st, the unit I was with the 3rd Brigade of the 101st, the Rakasans. Some of you out there are Rakasans. We conducted the largest, longest, deepest helicopter movement of troops and equipment in military history. And, I don't say that to say how great are we, but, the 101st moved 2 brigades 100 miles into Iraq in a matter of like a couple of hours.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Which tells you something about our force. And when that happened during Desert Storm, we had cut off their egress routes and main resupply routes back up into Baghdad. And the war was essentially over at that point. So
I think, Desert Storm's an example of how well a war can be ran.
Totally. I think something like 100 casualties, and the execution of it. It's something that you're proud of to have been a part of. But somewhere in there, when you're in that environment, somewhere in there, you have a fear of death. And I know for me, the fear of death, it ended somewhere in there before we did the operation. And it was kind of like, you at some point you decided, what, if that's how I have to go, it's definitely going to be worth it because of what we're a part of and what we're fighting for. And
that's amazing.
I can almost remember when it happened. It was before the war started. And now part of that was, we've been sitting in this desert for like 6 months now. And you know what? I'm going home. If it's in a body bag, it's fine. Like, let's do
going
something
home one way or another.
Right. Let's do something and let's get out of here. But it was really more the service aspect and knowing, that was the year. If you've never heard Whitney Houston's rendition of the national anthem.
Oh, yeah.
Before the Super Bowl, when the Giants played, I think, the Bills.
That's the iconic version.
Yeah.
Right
If
there.
you've never heard that one, I fell asleep listening to that version. It was right after the bombing had started, but before the ground war.
Wow.
And I fell asleep that night going, you know what? It's worth it.
That's amazing. That is an amazing story. That's incredible. You know what? I think that we aren't going to get any better than that. That's we should probably just cut the bonus. Oh, you want to talk more?
I like his stories.
But we're going to have Matt back again.
Please.
And
I would love to be back. Would love to come back.
Andrew, if you want to come back on when you're on break or something,
let us know. We'd like to hear how it went.
Yeah, we want to hear how maybe after you've been there, how often do you have to come back, Matt?
Well, he'll be back. He'll be back at Thanksgiving, but that's a short break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the better plan is on his Christmas break. So it'll be December of this year.
That's
So
fine.
we're going to go ahead and sign you up for December of this year. You ready to come back? And
that'd be fine.
You get to talk to us about how your first year at West Point's going, and just realize that we are going to send a copy of the show to all your commanders.
If you want, I'll get him, and I'll get someone that just got in.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
And then they could.
We got
what would you tell him?
So if you want to see more of Matt and Andrew, make sure to comment down below. We'll have them on more often. And you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.